What is going on, everybody? So, back again today, and as you can tell by the title and the thumbnail, going to talk about the Moon Knight show. And overall, I'm going to kind of talk about just like the MCU in general. Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness premieres tonight. I know a bunch of people are probably going to see it. I am not. I'm probably going to see it. I'm uploading this Thursday night. I'm probably going to go see it Saturday. But uh, so far as we can tell, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness is supposed to kind of be the big payoff for this, or at least the first of maybe many, but it's like the first big payoff, or maybe the big payoff for what they're calling the multiverse saga of the MCU. So I'm going to talk about the MCU from basically Avengers Endgame to now, prior to seeing Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, and then I'll do my Multiverse of Madness review after I watch that and talk about how I feel about that and how it affects. Because I have a feeling the Multiverse of Madness might result in some big changes. So, Moon Knight, first and foremost, Moon Knight. I was really looking forward to a Moon Knight show. My favorite comic book superhero character is Batman. And a lot of people say that Moon Knight is Marvel's Batman. That's a common thing you hear online and whatnot. And he is in a way. He's Batman if Batman had multiple personality disorder or dissociative identity disorder. But yeah, Moon Knight. Long story short, they did the same thing with Moon Knight that they did with Eternals. They said, "Fuck the source material. Let's just do something new." And it wasn't as bad as Eternals. Like it worked out better in doing that, just kind of going off script and doing new shit. It worked better in Moon Knight than it did for Eternals, but it's still like I still feel like it would have been better for them to stick to source material. So let's talk first about what they did right in terms of source material. So Moon Knight's the primary identity, the original identity being called Mark Spector. That's correct. The character was originally named Mark Spector. He was a guy, he was in the military, some special forces type shit. Then he got out of the military, went into private work, was a mercenary. And the whole story about him being a mercenary and him being on that archaeological dig with I see, this is like Layla. Well, Layla, I believe was her name. I was almost about to forget her name. Like, I should know her name from the comics, but that's how just like unremarkable of a character she was in the show. So Layla and her father were archaeologists, and he was part of their excavation or whatever expedition. And the head of the mercenary gang, who's called Bushman, they referenced him in the show. He, for one reason or another, they didn't really go very far into it in the show, but like basically, I guess he decided that like all the ancient Egyptian artifacts that they were excavating, he's like, oh, I'd rather just steal these and put them on the black market. So he killed her father, and then when Mark protested, he shot Mark, and then Mark made his way into the temple. And this is the thing about Moon Knight that the show doesn't really do. Yes, the god Khonshu like appeared, revealed himself to Mark, and said like, I will, keep you alive. I'll keep this gunshot wound from killing you if you agree to serve as my avatar of justice and vengeance. And Mark agrees. But where the show differs from the comic book source material is in the comics, it's constantly meant to be like it's up to the reader to decide whether or not they believe Khonshu is real. Like, because this is a guy with mental problems, with mental health issues, and he does have a mental health illness. Like he has dissociative identity disorder. So it's up to the reader, as you're reading Moon Knight comics, to determine for yourself, like, yeah, this guy is dressing up as this like avatar of like Egyptian vengeance. He's dressing up in the Moon Knight costume, and he's going out at night and doing Batman vengeance type shit in the name of this god that he believes is real. And he often talks to the god and whatnot, but it's up to you, the reader of the Moon Knight comics, to come form your own conclusion as like, is all this shit real, or is it just in his head because he's crazy? The show definitely leans into it's all just real. And Why did they do this? I think they did this because one of the common things that like people do say about one of the common criticisms of Batman in DC is like, what place is Batman, a normal human? I know he's a billionaire, he has all this crazy tech, but he's still just a normal human. And what place does Batman, a normal human, have on the Justice League fighting like alien invaders and interdimensional crazy villains and shit? Like, what place does normal little human Batman have amongst all that? And Marvel is already deep into that shit. Like, we've already gone through the Infinity Saga, and they've dealt with Thanos and shit like that. They've met a bunch of alien warlords and stuff from outer space through the Guardians of the Galaxy movies and whatnot, Thor and all of them, and now with Eternals, we've got the Celestials are introduced. So it's like, why I think Marvel leaned heavily into the gods and Khonshu and stuff like that being real, because then later on, if they ever want to bring Moon Knight into some kind of like collected Avengers movie type shit, he can at least do some stuff, more stuff than just like, you know, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, he can be a bit more relevant because he actually has some superpowers given to him by this god. So my counter argument to that is it's twofold. One, on the case of Batman, he does have a place in the greater DC universe, and I have a video about that on my channel. You just got to watch it. There's a right way to do him with the Justice League and going into outer space and stuff like that, and then there's a wrong way to do him, but Batman can still work. And if Batman can work, then so can Moon Knight. And my second counterpoint is like, okay, so if you gave Moon Knight, if you leaned heavily into the superpowers and Khonshu being real, because you wanted Moon Knight to actually be able to hold his own with the rest of the Avengers, it's like, great. But then you've also got Hawkeye right there, who's just a normal human with a bow and arrow, and he seems to do just fine. So, you're kind of playing both sides of the coin, being a little hypocritical. So, there is that. Overall, I thought that the Moon Knight show was rather disappointing. I mean, it's not. Here's my gripes with it. One, you don't really see him do a whole lot as Moon Knight. They spend much more time on Mark Spector and Stephen Grant than they do about him being Moon Knight. The show is predominantly, the 6 episodes like miniseries Moon Knight, it's predominantly more about these two personalities that share a body coming to terms with one another, rather than Moon Knight superhero adventures and action. It's much more about this mental health issue that this guy has going on. And him, like, the one personality we talked about is Mark. The other one that is mainly featured in this show is Stephen Grant, who is, in the comics, Stephen Grant is this persona that he invented to, like a cover story. So in the comics, he has 3 personas. He has Mark Spector, which is the prior military service mercenary guy who is Moon Knight, basically, the real one. And then you have Stephen Grant, who is the personality that he's kind of like this like billionaire playboy figure. Like, he hangs out at a lot of fancy country clubs, and he's the one that he took all of his money from being a mercenary, and he invested it and made a bunch of stock trades and gambled, and he built it into a fortune. The Stephen Grant personality did. So if you ask which one is Moon Knight, it's like Mark Spector is Moon Knight, but Stephen Grant is the one that pays for it. It's kind of like Mark Spector is Batman, but Stephen Grant is the Bruce Wayne, if you follow me. And then the third personality is a cab driver called Jake Lockley. This is another identity that he invented as a cab driver so that he could like travel around this more seedy, dirty parts of the city. And, cab drivers, they meet all kinds of people and they hear all kinds of things. So being a cab driver might be a good way to kind of like keep my ear to the streets and hear about what's going on and pick up intel. So he does that. The 2 personalities that are heavily featured in the Moon Knight show are Mark Spector, obviously, the mercenary with the actual like combat skills and shit. And then there's Stephen Grant, who in this show is not the billionaire, the rich not billionaire. I don't think he was ever a billionaire, but like rich multimillionaire. In this show, he is a dorky, introverted, shy, nervous, anxiety-ridden museum gift shop worker. And he's super fucking annoying. Like I hated every scene. I hated almost every scene with Steven. I didn't pity Steven. I didn't think Steven was cute and innocent and fun. I didn't think his version of the Moon Knight costume was like, oh, cute. What a cute little. It represents Steven because he's more like normal, and it's also a throwback to the comic book suit when he wore that suit. No, Steven in this show was annoying, and it was Steven that interfered and prevented there from being more Moon Knight action. Like Mark is all about like, let me take control of the body and summon the Moon Knight costume and do badass Moon Knight shit. And Steven's like, no, it's too violent. We can't do that. It was really annoying. The Steven character was super annoying. I hate the way they did Steven Grant in this show, because he just blocked the action. He blocked and he's like an action violence cool fight violence action scene cock blocker. Like he was so annoying. And yeah, so did not like that. And my second complaint, other than there being like I hated the Steven personality, there's not a whole lot of, I think in the show, he dons the Moon Knight costume and does cool Moon Knight action stuff, like a grand total of like in like 3 scenes. In 6-hour-long episodes, there's really only like 3 scenes where he is in the, and by the way, there's 2 versions of the Moon Knight suit in this show, and one of them is like the white business suit with the white ski mask, and the other one is the more typical Moon Knight costume with the cape and the hood, but it is a little like Egyptian mummy kind of styled. It's fine. It looks okay. It's just that's the one we want to see, the one with the cape and the hood, and he's beating ass. Like, but you don't get very much of that in this show. I think there's like a grand total of like 3 seasons where he's in that costume doing cool Moon Knight stuff, and other than that, like he's either Mark Spector or Steven Grant, and they're just arguing with each other. Like it's so fucking lame. And the villain of this show, like it had an interesting premise going on here. You know, like at the beginning, the villain was Harrow, played by Ethan Hawke, and this is a guy who also heavily believes in this Egyptian mythology shit. He is supposedly following the Egyptian god Ammit, who is like kind of another god of like justice and vengeance, except like the difference is Khonshu, the Moon Knight god, he believes in only punishing evildoers after they've actually committed evil acts. Ammit is like, I can just kind of like use my magical god powers to like evaluate a human being's essence, like a human being's soul, and determine whether or not they're good or bad based on that. And if they're bad, let's just fucking kill them. And so, yeah, it's another one of those like moral dilemma issues. It's not even original. It's the dilemma of like, is it okay? Like, is it okay to kill baby Hitler argument? Like, it's like, if you know that a person is likely to do bad in the future, is it okay to just kill them now? And here's the thing, it's not even an original it's not only is it not an original concept, it's not even an original concept for a story from Marvel. Like, that was basically the plot of Winter Soldier. SHIELD had those helicarriers that were just going to be patrolling the sky all over the globe, and SHIELD was had been compromised by Hydra, who was going to use the algorithm to just like figure out, hey, who on the Earth is a threat? Who on the Earth, based on this algorithm, who on the Earth is likely a threat? And then from the helicarrier just start sniping people. That's Ammit. It's just a technological spy movie version of this Moon Knight premise. So they just repeated that plot concept, and then but I was watching it at the beginning. I was like, my prediction for how this is going to go is it's going to be like, okay, Moon Knight, Mark Spector, and the other personalities, they are going to confront this guy Harrow, who is another believer in like this Egyptian god shit, but his belief is even more extreme than Mark's. And Mark is going to have to confront this guy on the basis of like, you're insane for believing this shit, when Mark's beliefs for and basis for doing what he does isn't exactly sane and sensible in and of itself. So it was going to be like, hey, like it was going to paint like a contradiction between the two. Like, hey, they're more alike than you think. Mark, you're a little bit of a hypocrite for going after Harrow, but at the same time, it's like, I thought that was going to be much more interesting. Nope, turns out it's. But by the end of the show, by the end of all 6 episodes, you're definitely meant to walk away from it going like, nope, it was all real. The gods are real. Moon Knight really does have superpowers. He really is the avatar of Khonshu. All the Egyptian gods are real. Yeah. So, yeah. I didn't like that as much. I gotta be honest. I was really hoping to see basically like Marvel do their version of Batman, but he has multiple personality disorder. Like, in my opinion, episode 1 and maybe 2 should have been like, 1 should have been the origin story. It should have been an hour-long episode of like, he's a mercenary, they're in Egypt, Layla's father gets killed, he has the vision of Khonshu offering him the deal, he becomes Moon Knight. Second episode should have been, they head back to, I guess it's New York. Most Marvel's in New York. I'm pretty sure it was New York. They head back to New York. He creates Stephen Grant, who invests all his mercenary money and makes him a ton of even more money. And then he uses that to, create the moon copter and, build his suit made of like bulletproof armor and shit and buy all his gear. Like, he literally is, in that regard, he is Marvel's Batman. Like, he has a sort of Batcave type lair. He has a moon-shaped aircraft. Like, Batman has the Batwing. Moon Knight has a moon-shaped aircraft. He has an all-white helicopter. He has moon-shaped throwing weapons like batarangs. He really is, and this is all like gear, like tech and equipment provided to him through a large amount of money. So he really is, he's Marvel's Batman with multiple personality disorder. And I was really preferring and hoping that that's what they were going to do, and that's not what they did. They went, this is like Egyptian, this is like Egyptian god powered Captain America with multiple personality disorder. Like, that's what, like, his power levels in the show, like his levels of super strength and speed and whatnot, they kind of reminded me of like, okay, he's like Captain America level. Like his strength, stamina, agility, all that. It's Captain America level superpower. It's not over the top. He's not juggling semi trucks, but he's like Captain America level. So it's like, if Captain America got his powers from an Egyptian god instead of a super soldier serum, and then also had multiple personality disorder, that's this show. And it's just not as good. It's just not as good, But I think, there's the argument about, let's actually make the superpowers and the gods real, and that way he can kind of like contribute more to big crossover movies, and he can fit in better with the Avengers and do more stuff. And then there's also the argument of like, I've heard people say like, well, they've already confirmed now that Charlie Cox is Daredevil in the MCU, and Spider-Man No Way Home proved that. Like, he's in the movie, so all that is canon. And the Netflix Daredevil, now Disney Plus Daredevil, Charlie Cox Daredevil, they've already kind of set him up as like the MCU's Batman. He's just a normal human who's really good at fighting, prowls the night, is all about justice and whatnot, and he has a no-kill rule. That was the basis of him and Punisher's squabble in Daredevil season 2. It was like, Punisher's killing people and Daredevil won't cross that line. So that's very Batman. Like, they've already kind of set up Daredevil to be this universe's Batman. So maybe they were thinking like, we don't really need Moon Knight to be this universe's Batman. Let's just do him. Let's just go straight up like, the gods are real. He really does have superpowers from the gods. And yeah, so, and this show was just confusing too. Nah, not really. Now that I think about it, it's not really confusing. It's confusing while you watch it, but by the end of it, unless you're a complete moron, but once you've watched it all, and there is a little after credits kind of scene, mid credits scene at the very end that you should watch. So it's like, yeah, basically at the end, spoiler alert, but the whole show's out. At the end, Mark tells Khonshu he does the last thing. He defeats the villain. They tells Khonshu to release both him and the Stephen Grant personality from their deal with him. He's like, I don't want to do your Khonshu Egyptian god bullshit anymore. Release us. So Khonshu does. Khonshu releases Mark Spector and Stephen Grant. And they both black out, and they wake up asleep in their bed back in their apartment, and they're like, okay, it's over, and they're chained to the bed again, which is kind of that should be a little clue right there. Like, why are they still chained to the bed if they're both like free now, and they're not going off in the middle of the night doing Khonshu shit? Well, it's because there's been a third personality all along. It's kind of also hinted at in the final fight scene. Mark is fighting, but then he blacks out for a moment, and when he comes back into focus, all the dudes are destroyed. Like, they're just defeated. And that was Mark. So, and Mark's the fighty one. Steven is not. Steven is a museum history buff nerd. So Mark's like, I just blacked out, so I know I didn't kick the shit out of these guys. And Steven, you're a nerdy little bitch boy. We know you didn't kick the shit out of these guys. What the fuck just happened? And they kind of just like ignore it for a minute, but then at the very end, yeah, it's revealed that, yeah, Khonshu released Stephen Grant and Mark Spector, but there's been a third personality all along, and that's Jake Lockley, which is the chauffeur. In the comics, he's a cab driver. In this episode, the little bit you see of the Jake Lockley personality, he's driving a limo. So I don't know if like for the MCU they're doing he's a limo driver, but either way, he's a chauffeur. So yeah, the Jake Lockley personality is real, and apparently that one is still in the service of Khonshu. So yeah. I don't know. It's I am one of those kinds of fans where I'm gonna form when it comes to like movies and TV shows and book series and everything, comics, I'm gonna form expectations. And if the movie or if the thing whatever it is, if it does not meet or exceed my expectations, then I'm gonna dislike it and I'm gonna think it's bad. Because to be honest, especially like, and that mostly what that comes from is the fact that like I'm a big stickler about that with like comic book superhero movies, because if I read the source material, which is the comics, and I'm like, damn, this shit's pretty fucking dope, and then you go changing a bunch of it, it just makes me mad that it's like that you read this comic book source material that's just already good, and rather than just do that, you went, I can beat it. Can you? Can you though? Maybe you should have just, put your little artsy fartsy creative vision bullshit the fuck away and just played it safe and done what was in the fucking source material. That's how I felt about Eternals, and that's how I felt about Moon Knight. So, yeah, rather unimpressed with Moon Knight. I gotta be honest, I really am. It didn't really wow me all that much. Like, yeah, I would have preferred him to be, comic book Moon Knight, DC's Batman with multiple personality disorder, or Marvel's Batman with multiple personality disorder. Sorry. So yeah. So now that I got my opinion but like, okay, so let's cover the basic fundamental shit. Like, acting, totally fine. All the actors killed it. They're all great actors. Oscar Isaac, Ethan Hawke, they're all great actors. The voice actor for Khonshu, good. Like, all that's fine. Cinematography, how it was filmed and shot, great. Special effects, top notch. It's Marvel. It's Disney Marvel. Like, what do you expect at this point? Fight scene choreography, what little of it there was, fucking pretty great, pretty badass. I just wish there'd been more. I wish we had seen him do more ass beating in the cool Moon Knight costume with the cape and hood. That was my big gripe. I wanted more of that, didn't get it. So, all of the basic fundamental stuff about any kind of TV show or movie, acting, sound, score, cinematography, special effects, all that shit. That was all great. That was fine. Plot and narrative. If you you're going to think the plot is okay and good if you don't mind this idea that he's not Marvel's Batman and he's more like Egyptian god powered Captain America with multiple personality disorder. If you like that, because the plot is directly related to that, you could not have this plot if he was just Marvel's Batman with multiple personality disorder. So if you like this plot, then that means you probably like the fact that he is Egyptian god powered Captain America with multiple personality disorder. I don't. I wish he was Marvel's Batman with multiple personality disorder, so I don't really like the plot as much, but that's just me. So now let's talk about Marvel overall. So let's review here. We're going to kind of do a quick rundown. First piece of, we're going to go through all the pieces of Marvel. I hope. I might miss some. There's actually been more than I thought, but excuse me, all the pieces of Marvel since Endgame. So first up we have Spider-Man Far From Home. Fuck that shit. I don't hate Tom Holland as Spider-Man, but I hate the MCU Spider-Man movies. Absolutely hate them. They're fucking stupid. They're not Spider-Man movies. They're not. They're new, millennial, no, not even millennial, like Gen Z or whatever the fuck we're into. Hey, let's change everything up and make it new because new is always better, blah, blah, blah. Like, I hate that he goes to a high school where everyone's smart. I hate that MJ is not really Mary Jane. I hate that there's no Harry Osborn. They replaced him with a fat Chinese dude. I'm assuming he's Chinese. I don't know. A fat Chinese dude because they're like, diversity and body positivity. Right here, fuckers. What else? I hate that the Vulture was Liz Allen's father. Okay. What else? What the fuck else? There's so much shit to hate in here. I hate that he's like so Iron Man derivative and dependent. Like he's not Spider-Man. He's just not. This isn't Spider-Man. This isn't Spider-Man. And all three of those movies sucked. But like if I had to pick one to watch, I'm gonna watch the newest one just to see my boys Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield because they are, and even in that movie, they are the only silver lining in that movie. So yeah, Far From Home, trash. What did we get after that? WandaVision, actually pretty good and entertaining, and I liked what it set up for and proposed for the future. So WandaVision, I liked WandaVision. Definitely, and it brought out more of her character. Like, she didn't really get a lot of spotlight in the Avengers movies. She was just kind of there waving her hands around. I liked it. When they finally gave her the spotlight, she shined. I liked it. Loki. Fucking loved Loki. Not only was it just fun, interesting, highly entertaining, it was the biggest game changer so far. Like everybody's over here, oh, No Way Home, No Way Home. Fuck No Way Home. Loki was the shit. The ending of Loki blew my fucking mind. All right. The multiverse used to exist, but then it didn't because this one guy saw how horrible and chaotic it was, so he put an end to that shit. But now here we are with Loki and his alternate reality female version of himself, who he's in love with, have the choice to either continue preserving the one linear reality or kill this guy and let the multiverse come to be, and female Loki who loves male Loki betrays him and kills the guy, and then it spawns the multiverse. And we got the introduction to the multiverse, because this was everything I said about a lot of the plot in Avengers Endgame, that it rewarded me for it. Because there was stuff they did in Endgame with the time travel where I was like, that would create an alternate reality. That would create an alternate reality. It has to be addressed. It would create an alternate reality. They did that shit and it would create an alternate reality. They addressed it. When stuff like that does happen, time travel, it does create alternate realities. But there's this time agency that goes in and fucking clips that shit and makes it not happen. But Loki fucked it up. And now there really are alternate realities and we have the multiverse. So Loki was fucking dope. Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Piece of shit. Piece of shit. We did not need a 6-episode miniseries for this. We didn't. We just fucking did not. Alright? The villain sucked. The villain sucked. There was no motivation. Like, Marvel, Disney, I think I would have genuinely rather, and it would have been a lot cheaper for you guys to do this, but I think I would at very least have more respect for you if what you had done instead of making the Falcon and the Winter Soldier was just put 6-hour long episodes up on Disney Plus that were nothing but a blank screen. They were nothing but a black screen that read, or the white screen that read in black writing, Captain America's black now, get over it. Because then I could have turned that on and been like, oh, this is all it is. I don't need to know that. I'm cool with it already. So I'm just going to skip this. But no, you felt that all of the world needed a lecture, a reminder and a lecture on, hey, Captain America's black now, okay? So you just have to accept it, okay? It's fucking modern day, and you have to accept it. Captain America is a black man, and he's Captain America. Deal with it. It's like I was cool with it at the end of Endgame. Like, you were too. Yeah, we pretty much all were. Everyone was. And it made no fucking sense. Because at the end of Endgame, Steve Rogers gives him the shield, and he says, thank you, I'll do my best. Like, he's proud to have it, and he's ready to have it, and he feels like it's an honor. And then fucking Falcon Winter Soldier, he's like, I can't do it. Museum, take this shit off my hands. No. It's just a giant blatant contradiction, because they were like, I think we could milk a Falcon Winter Soldier show out of this. Who's got any ideas? And then there was some liberal fucktard in the writer's room who was just like, what if we have it all be about he's black? And there had to have been some people who were like, I mean, we pretty much covered, like, it's a visual form of media entertainment, right? Like, everyone could see he's black. Like, it's been established. He's black, and now he's going to be the new Captain America. Do we really need to do a 6-episode miniseries about it? Apparently they did. So, Falcon Winter Soldier, complete shit. Waste of my fucking time. What else was there? I think the next thing, really, in all honesty, was Shang-Chi. Or no, the Black Widow movie came out. It was okay, but the way I looked at it was like, this is a prequel, so other than introducing some new characters that are going to come up later, it's not going to have any bearing on anything. And it introduced Red Guardian, and it introduced her, like, sister, who I guess is the new Black Widow, technically. But other than that, yeah, it has no relevancy to the plot of the MCU, because it's a prequel, and we already know where everything, like, she dies in Endgame, the end. Spoiler alert, but it's been out for a while. So Black Widow, not very relevant. What else was that? Shang-Chi, fine, fine movie. Intro movie to him and what his whole little facet of the Marvel universe is about. I'm looking forward to seeing how he interacts with the rest of the Avengers and the rest of the MCU. But it was a fine. I don't think we need a Shang-Chi 2. I'll put it that way. But it was fine. What else? Are we finally at Far From Home? Or No Way Home? Yeah, No Way Home. No Way Home. Another huge piece of shit letdown. I only went for 3 reasons. 1, to see Daredevil confirmed in the MCU, to see Tobey Maguire back as Spider-Man, and to see Andrew Garfield back as Spider-Man. And those are the only reasons that anyone went to see it. Because, to be honest with you, this movie is shit. It's a completely shit premise. Like, it starts out okay, all the way up until Peter decides that rather than just send these villains back to the realities they come from, we need to cure them first so that they have a chance of going back to their reality and dying. But that doesn't really work, because it's already been stated in the movie at this point that they were ripped from their realities, like, at the moment of their death. So, like, the glider is coming at Osborn. So it's like, great, you cure him, and he's going to come back, he's going to pop back into his reality and be like, I'm cured. Immediately gutted. So what's the fucking point? To be all fucking soft and cute, and it's about saving people but never giving up on anyone. Don't write anyone off. Everyone can always be saved. There's always good in everybody. Good, pureness, friendship, love, happiness, color, brightness, sparkles, sprinkles, rainbows, softy, soft shit. I think Peter should have killed him. I'd have killed him. Like, when Toby stopped him from putting that glider in fucking Goblin's head, I'd have headbutted Tony and then killed Goblin. Like, Toby, not Tony, sorry. Like, Peter should have killed, fuck that dude, you know? Fuck that dude and fuck softy, wussy ass bitch boy shit. Fuck it. Like, Peter was beating the fuck out of the goblin. Like, and that's okay. Like, it's not that much of a difference. Kill him. Fucking kill him. Who cares? He's going back to his reality to die anyway. So, whatever. Anyway, and then the ending plot was just dumb, where it was like, oh, the spell is going to erase everyone's memory of Peter Parker. And they were very clear. For all you people out there who are trying to, like, come up with your own headcanon that explains it, you can't. Watch the movie. It clearly says everyone on Earth is going to forget that Peter Parker ever existed. It says nothing about digital media footage talking about how Peter Parker is Spider-Man and he killed Mysterio. The spell does nothing to erase that book that Flash wrote about his friendship with Peter Parker, who turned out to be Spider-Man. It does nothing to erase all of the legal documents that Matt Murdock has from being Peter Parker's lawyer during the whole is Peter Parker Spider. There is so much shit still existing in this world that points to the existence of a guy named Peter Parker who is Spider-Man. And no. Sony and Marvel and Disney, you desperately wanted a way to shake the Etch-a-Sketch on Spider-Man, and you couldn't really pull it off. You couldn't think of a way to do it, so the best you could come up with was this bullshit, and you knew it was bullshit, so you thought, how do we distract people from this bullshit? We'll get Willem Dafoe, and I cannot for the life of me remember the octopus Doc Ock's name, the real actor, but Alfred Molina, and we'll get Jamie Foxx, and we'll get Tobey Maguire and Andrew. We'll get all these actors to come back, so people in the audience, they'll be too distracted by the hey, I know that guy, yay, to really realize that this plot was written by babies, by retarded children. So, yeah. And then now we got Moon Knight, and Moon Knight was, like, I'll give Moon Knight a 6.5 out of 10. It's not absolute dog shit, but it's like, if you're like, think about, like, you were raised in school being taught that like a 60% is a bad grade, so 65% is still a bad grade, so a 6.5 out of 10, like, it's still a failure, but it's not it's not a 2, but it's still a failure. So, man, like, so let's wrap this up. Like, how many of the things sucked? Far From Home, shit. What was next? WandaVision, pretty great. Loki, pretty great. Falcon Winter Soldier, I'll do this hand is the good stuff. So, No Way Home sucked. Or no, Far From Home sucked. WandaVision, great. Loki, great. Falcon Winter Soldier sucked. What was next? Black Widow, irrelevant. Except for those characters, but whatever. Read the wiki page. Fucking what was next after Shang-Chi? I'll give it to Shang-Chi. Oh, I forgot to talk about Eternals. Eternals was shit. Watch my review. Eternals was a big letdown too. Eternals was shit. What was next? After Eternals, I think it was Spider-Man No Way Home. Yeah. Spider-Man No Way Home, shit, and then Moon Knight, shit. So, like, out of the 9 things that have come out since the end of the Infinity Saga, 6 of them sucked. Oh, man. Like, you guys gotta get back on your shit, Marvel. Get the Russo brothers back in here. Get them involved. Kevin Feige, get in there and start busting some skulls, because some people are fucking around. Like, you're gonna lose that trust. Like, Marvel, you guys had that trust. You've done so much good over the 11 years of the Infinity Saga that you pretty much had a get out of jail free card for everything, but you're abusing it now, and you're gonna start to lose people's confidence. You don't want to do that. You need to get back in there and start getting your shit together. Just go back to the basics. Like, the guys who wrote, I think they wrote all the Captain America, the same guys, they wrote all the Captain America movies, and they wrote Infinity War and Endgame. Get those guys back and get them working on shit. Get Get the Russo brothers back here. Get them working on shit. Like, stop giving so many different creative artsy fartsy filmmaker people so much freedom. All right, you gave that fucking artsy fartsy nomad Eternals bitch director, you gave her too much fucking freedom and creative control. Moon Knight, you gave whoever the fuck was responsible for that, you gave them way too much fucking freedom and creative control. Spider-Man, you really got to get that shit under control. I don't even know how you come back from that travesty. The fucking Falcon Winter Soldier, you gave that was just a bad call to even do that. That could have been, if you had to do it, I would have much rather it be just a quick 2-hour movie rather than a 6-hour fucking shit fest. Like, just a 2-hour movie, boom, done. Like, Kevin Feige, and you gotta get the fuck in there, kick in the door, and just start fucking laying down the fucking law. Put the firm hand back down and be like, hey, fuck faces. It's time to get the fuck back in line. Like, I know you all have your unique, creative, artsy, fartsy, imaginative visions for shit, but this is Marvel. You're gonna do things the typical, traditional, tried and true, formulaic Marvel way, or you're gonna get the fuck out. You need to get back to basics. You need to get your house in order. You need to get your shit together. That being said, I'm looking forward to Multiverse of Madness. I just hope that with all the different multiversal reality. I forgot about to talk about What If. What If was actually pretty cool. What If is good. Multiverse of Madness. I just hope that, because it's so much stuff has been teased about, the 20th Century Fox X-Men franchise is going to come in as another reality, and the old Fantastic Fours are going to come in as another reality. It's like, okay, that's fine as a temporary thing. However, if we want to talk about establishing a version of the Fantastic Four that is a permanent recurring, they are permanent recurring characters within the MCU, I would much prefer you just do it over again from scratch and create an MCU original version of the Fantastic Four. Same goes for the X-Men and all the mutant characters. Don't just take in the 20th Century Fox versions because it's easy and quick because they're already done. No. If you want to bring them into Multiverse of Madness for cameos and little kind of like No Way Home, a No Way Home type experience, but for the greater Marvel movie everything, not just Spider-Man. If you want to do that, that's fine. But I hope at the end of the movie they all go back to their own realities, and then if we're gonna have a MCU Fantastic Four or an MCU X-Men, I hope it is original and signature to the MCU. I hope it's not from one of those other properties. So yeah, that's my rant. That's my review of Moon Knight and my little rant about the current state of the MCU. I love the MCU. I genuinely think it's one of the greatest achievements in cinema. I think it's done wonders for pop culture and people who just love this kind of stuff. People who it showed so many people who just for something about a comic book just didn't really they didn't really like the idea of a comic book and reading comics, but it showed so many people that you do like these characters and you do like these kinds of stories. Comic books are just not the format for you. And I love that. I don't want to see it die. They managed to pull off a 22 film saga with the Infinity Saga. I don't want that to be the end. I want it to keep going, but in order for that to happen, they gotta get their shit together. So yeah, that's that. Let me know what you guys think. Leave some comments down below. Get a discussion started. If you like this video, please hit the like button. That really helps out the channel. And if you want to help out the channel even more, check out some of my other videos and subscribe. But other than that, talk to you guys later.